You're back. Fantastic. Well done for sticking with us. Cash in the advice process. It's an asset class that all clients have. Your very first financial planning exams will have told you that you've got to maintain cash for clients, yet often it's a part of the client's overall asset base and portfolio that doesn't get looked at. We're going to address why, and we're going to look at some solutions that might be available to help you. Now then, remember, you're in charge of these sessions. If there's anything you want to ask, please do send it through here. If you don't ask questions, I will come round to each and every one of you later on to give you a good telling off. Consider yourselves warned. I've changed the crack team. I've brought in two of the finest experts on all things cash from around the marketplace. We've got Caroline Flagg, who's from Octopus Labs, and we've got Paul Alkins from Deposit Sense. Both of them out there in the marketplace with solutions that can help in this area, but more importantly, expertise that can give you some insight into it. So let's get stuck in to all things cash. Paul, why don't advisors advise on cash? That's a sweeping generalisation that I'm hoping will be challenged in a moment.
And it's a good place to start, and the fact that we can make that statement is actually quite incredible, that the industry can come so far for so long without engaging in properly within what is the core, fundamental financial asset, as you've already said, that everybody needs. And I think the basic reason why it hasn't been engaged with properly is that advisors haven't been given the right tools. It's a very sporadic marketplace. The information and the accounts are changing all of the time. So you need proper information in a timely fashion, a proper process to do things in an orderly fashion, and then the right tools and equipment to manage cash on an ongoing basis. And all of those, for whatever reason, have been missing. Since the industry really formed itself.
Caroline, it's is the notion that this isn't interesting, I'm going to put my client's cash into Santander 123, a flawed one?
Well, it depends on the client, right?
Yep.
So it all depends on what the client's looking to achieve, what their objectives are. But you're right, I think a lot of people don't think that cash is exciting or interesting, and certainly with interest rates where they are at the moment, there are far more exciting things that are out there for clients. But if you have a client who is inherently looking for cash, and let's face it, most people need to keep some cash, then there are a whole host of places they can go. Santander 123, I have a feeling there's a very limited amount of money you can put into those accounts, but there are so many other options as long as you actually actively manage your cash. There's a lot of better ways that you can manage your money out there.
What about the compliance aspects of this? Do you feel that advisors often will overlook the need to handle cash for clients, and is that an issue? Or the flip side of it, is there a reverse issue whereby if advisor charging is being facilitated through investment and pension products, that there is potential for an incentive that assets that could and should be in cash end up in those?
That's, a good question, and there's probably lots of different answers. Let me just say first and foremost as well, though, within the industry, nobody wants clients who just want to keep their money in cash. But the reality is that if you manage cash effectively, you can do much better than what as an industry we generally take to be the norm, which is the dormant rates of interest when you leave your money with a specific bank or building society. We should be managing money effectively. So the answer to any planning solution with any client is never take all of the money out of cash and invest it. Never that. Neither actually should it be leave all of your money in cash, but I think generally the population in the UK, there are too many people with money in cash. The regulatory aspect, and it's a governance principle for me, and it's a message that we try and get out to everybody that we speak to, is very important though. If you receive advice based upon the understanding that you're receiving 0.1% return from your cash, so therefore you take on something a little bit more exciting, which you probably should be doing for your better long-term value anyway, are you fully informing your clients if those clients could be getting 1.5% or 2% per annum in cash? So the regulatory or the governance aspect is all about making sure clients are fully informed. And what that does, that affords protection. You're talking about the main issue being the conflict of interest, get out of cash, and get into a platform or an asset that you can draw an advisor charge from. That's, generically good advice and the right thing to do for the longer term. But we're leaving a hole in what cash can do and how it can deliver governance to a business just by informing your clients of the value that they can receive. And the other big one this year, of course, well, last year now, is the personal savings allowance, which is a tax benefit. It needs to be covered off. Otherwise, you run the risk of files being assessed as unclear in any future business review,
Caroline, when you're sitting in the labs at Octopus with your white coat on and you're
exactly like
and looking through looking through the microscopes at things, Paul made a statement there that nobody wants clients who just want to keep their money in cash. What's drawn Octopus into looking at solutions in this marketplace then?
Well, you're absolutely right. I think certainly from an advisor point of view, if you've got a client that comes to you and says they just want to look after cash, they tend to sort of look for the bigger ticket deals potentially, something where you can actually earn better money and give interesting advice. But it is a missed opportunity because if you've got a client who has a lot of cash, as we've already seen, the UK market is full of cash. There's £145 billion in 1 year fixed savings deposits, which is an extortionate amount of money. And that money stays there for a year and then your amazing rate disappears and you're down to 0.1% if you're lucky, but nobody bothers to move their money. So it's the hassle element. You, as an individual, I know from myself, I have never changed my bank account, ever. Which is ridiculous, outrageous, especially given the market that I work in and the business that I'm in. But Octopus have come here because actually the issues that people face in terms of moving money, the apathy, the inertia, whatever you want to call it, laziness potentially, there's a huge opportunity to make life much simpler for people. And that's what Octopus like to do, make things easy, hassle-free. And that's what we're trying to do.
And can I just add something to that? The banks control the savings market. And again, what Caroline just said is absolutely true. Your fixed rate matures and 0.1% is absolutely, if you're lucky. It'll be typically lower than that at the moment. And so this actually creates a fantastic opportunity for the financial advisor to get in and take control of clients. As bad as banks and building societies treat their savers, they've also generated this amazing loyalty. We have this faith in our bank that they're doing the best thing they possibly can for us and that they're going to look after us and I won't do any better anywhere else. And that creates a fabulous opportunity for advisors to come in. Cash is the foundation. So our message is cash is the foundation. You start there. When a client really understands their requirements for cash, then actually they look to invest more, not less. And if you want people with lots of cash, don't talk to them about pensions or investments. Talk to them about cash. You show somebody how you can increase the return. And I'm not exaggerating when I say 10, 15, 20, 30 times more than what they're currently getting, and you will obtain that client. And then you can go on and sell all of the other stuff that you've got to sell for the benefit of the client.
Okay, let's create a scenario here then, and I'm doing this on the fly, so it may or may not end up being the most realistic, but I'm a financial advisor, worryingly. And along comes a client to see me, and they've got various different assets, including a fair wedge in cash. Let's make it a six-figure amount, early six-figure amount in cash that they absolutely want to keep there. They know that they've been told that they shouldn't necessarily have that much. Why do they want that much? But their requirement is that it's staying there. As an advisor, option one, I'm going to park it, leave it where it is, and I'm going to concentrate on everything else, and I'm going to build my service around all of their other financial planning needs. What are my options 2 or 3?
Shall I go first? Option 2 is understand the value. So we work to 4 principles: maximise the rate of interest, protect the money, because what you've suggested is over the FSCS level, And but then if you're maximising the rate of interest, you only retain the amount you need over the next 12 months on instant access, and then you build a portfolio with the rest, which could, 1 to 5 years, whatever. Yep. And you find out, so it's, and that's governed by how much the client requires on instant access. So I've got 100,000 and you want 25 on instant access, 25 on instant access, and then 25 in 1, 2 and 3 year fixed rate accounts. That will give you a number. That is your baseline. From there, you take the stepping stones into other products, and we can say, look, this is what we can get from cash. Now let's have a look at what we can get elsewhere and to use some of this money to get better return. And that's what I'll hand over to Caroline. And,
okay, I've got that's a good option 1. Give me an option. Is that an option 2? Give me an option 3.
So, I mean, Octopus Cash is set up for 1 year fixed deposits.
Right.
So we're still talking about relatively short term. And actually a lot of advisors that we're seeing using the service are actually saying, well, actually this is a pipeline. I know then that the money is there and it's exactly serving the client's needs. They want to tie it up, they want to keep it in cash, and they want to get a better return than they're currently getting, let's say, whilst maximising their FSCS protection. And Octopus Cash can kind of split the money across multiple banks with one application form. So we're trying to take away the hassle of moving the money. But then you say, okay, at the end of the 1 year fix, what do you want to do? From the advisor point of view, maybe something more exciting, maybe something where you can get a better return for the client. Use it as your pipeline generator, your opportunity spotter for the clients, and get them over time, as you build up your relationship with the client, to buy into more and more services from you. Okay,
so how functionally do I access that if I'm looking at my option 3 there?
Okay, so if it's from an advised point of view, it's simply one application form, and that's it.
Okay, and what about my more long-term detailed approach that you were building of short-term versus longer-term deposits?
And I think the difference with ourselves is ours is a cash proposition. It isn't a product. It's about a way of managing cash and and keeping the client engaged. And I think from the scenario that you've built, the most important thing a financial advisor needs to do with that client is retain them.
Yeah.
And if cash is the retention tool, then retain them, and then from there, you can build on further things. So ours is a membership based. It's a white labelled cash management system that advisors use as their own, and and our subscription fees start from £25 per month, and then one of the big things that we also recommend is actually financial advisors should be charging a fee for managing cash. If I can increase your returns by 10 or 20 times, then I should be charging you a fee for doing so. However, what we generally find is within the membership is where they're using it effectively, they take the client on and they are generating additional regulated business. So a lot of the cash work is still being done free of charge, but nevertheless, the additional revenue and the new opportunity more than covers the subscription fee for the system.
Okay, so essentially I've got a potential of a software-driven reporting addition in effect to my existing advice process that could ultimately lead to still being in a product-driven solution in the same instance. That's just dawned on me that your first 25% that you talked about in our scenario could ultimately end up in a solutions-driven such as way as that. Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. And the other thing as well is, it's not just about people. There's businesses, charities, trusts, pensions. We had pensions on earlier, SIP and SAS money can be managed effectively. So there's a really good opportunity to obtain clients via cash, which is easy to talk about, to then go into the other offerings that people have.
Fantastic. It sounds like essentially wrapping your arms around more of the client's assets, which can only be a good thing. Paul, Caroline, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gents, in about 5 minutes' time, I've got some gurus for you. I've got the head of business consultancy at Simplybiz Investment Services, Carl Dines, and I also know that waiting in the wings is none other than the founder of Intelligent Office, Nick Eatock, and the pair of them are going to be talking about all things advisor technology, the latest developments, and driving efficiency in your advice process. Join us in 5 minutes, and that will be the denouement of the advice show today. Be sure to join us. Thank you very much. See you in 5.